This is a vintage Manco Thunderbird mini bike. Not sure about the year, but it's been discontinued. I've got an old school Tecumseh or Tecumseh engine in it, depending on how you want to say it. And I believe it should have been the 3.5 horsepower version, but I can't find the model on it any longer. I actually got this bike while doing some metal scrapping. It was obviously not in working condition at the time, but it turned out to be a pretty quick and simple restore. Basically just a quick carb clean and a few other little things. It has the original engine, all the original parts, and you can tell from the white paint on the parts. There's been a few small things I had to replace, like the brake and kickstand springs, handlebars, a couple little bolts here and there. I'll have to get an air filter for it soon too, though I built a custom one out of some screens and filter material. It's not mounted on there right now. And I had to replace the carburetor, at least until I can find a good rebuild kit that works well with this older one. And to be honest, I cleaned this old carb and got it started, but it never had the kind of performance that I got from a slightly newer carb. Now I'll show you a bit about the startup process on this old bike and tell you a bit about what it took to get it working. I'd already checked checked and changed out the oil, and it seemed pretty good. I've also checked the spark, and it's pretty good. And at this point you can see I'm putting some nice new gas in there, but not too much, since the last carb was basically leaking gas everywhere, since I had to take the carb on and off so much without a shut-off valve. These Mancos also have a kill switch mounted on the left here, which you need to turn on before starting up. Now you see here the choke, which when I push it all the way back, it opens up the choke completely, and this is the position to use to get it started. And I move it up about halfway to get this particular one to operate well. As I mentioned, the carb was full of dirt, probably because it had been running without an air filter for a while, and the gaskets were in pretty bad shape, as you can see. I'm keeping this old carb to sell along with it whenever I go to sell it, since so many people like all the original parts for when they get around to restoring them. As you can see, this is the original carb, and it's not in great shape, but probably still serviceable. I pulled this new carb off a Tecumseh engine from an older 5 horsepower snowblower, and I'm zooming in here so you can see where the carb was. Now it's only taking a few pulls to get it started, and I'm pulling the throttle about halfway. And you can't see it from this camera angle, but I'm moving the choke to about halfway to get the bike out of idle and actually moving. And here's how it rides. And don't let the 3.5 horsepower number fool you. These older engines can rip for a little bike like this. It carries about 6 feet and 250 pounds of me at speeds clocked up to about 30 or so miles per hour.